Hey guys, this is Richard at Untitled Chapter and Reef.com, and today we're doing a coverage on Reef Palooza, New York. And so we're here at Benepets, and we're going to talk about the benefits of feeding this food to your aquarium. And we're here with Jeremy, and he's going to tell us everything about this food. Hey Jeremy,
Awesome.
how are you?
How are you, Richard? Good to see you.
Likewise.
Awesome.
Yep. So tell us a little bit about Benepets.
Okay. Well, we started in 2013, and our idea with this food was basically to create a food that was an entire reef food, something that could have a preventative approach in the industry. But we wanted it to be an entire reef food, so not just a coral food that doesn't just target corals, but it targets everything in the system. And so with Reef, what we've done is we've taken bacterias, cultured those bacterias, the probiotics, and then also added those bacterias with proteins, high quality sources of protein. So it's not just proteins that are coming from the ocean, but other sources of proteins. Yet our protein content is only 25.5%. And so that's another factor. So between the bacterias and the proteins, the amino acids, we're basically getting all the bionutrients that an entire system would need to proliferate and grow and function.
You know, this is interesting. How did you guys come up with probiotics for this type of food?
Okay, so this is kind of fun. It's a long story, but I'll try to shorten it as much as I can.
Sure.
We started out doing vermiculture, worms.
Okay.
Most of you that don't know that, it's the study of worms and growing, and we were doing composting, vermicompost, and we were studying the micronutrients, the microbial life, and the breakdown of the microfauna in the worm beds, and we actually had a lot of excess worms, red wiggler worms that we were actually growing, and we had to basically harvest those out before you overpopulate your worm bed. So we started taking those to local fish farms, stores, even aquariums, and they were using it, and they were having some great success with it. So that's when I started to study that breakdown and what the worms actually had in them. And one of the things is, what the factors was pre and probiotics that they naturally have in them. So we started to look at that, and I go, "Gal, if we could take that and put it into a product that could have a longer shelf life, that's what we wanted to try to do." And so that's where the whole concept of first it was a liquid food, then went into a powder supplement.
So adding a probiotics into the food, it actually it's better for the shelf life. Any other noticeable benefits?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, one of the things that we're proud about is the bacteria that we put in our food. It's gotta have a long shelf life, right? So it's a dormant stage. So when we manufacture and culture it, that shelf life, because it's in a dormant stage, has a long lasting time. So by the time it gets from the manufacturing to the shelf and to the customer, it's ready to go. It's in a good, perfect shape. But what we're talking about with the bacteria is the benefits of it in the tank is it actually feeds the nitrifying bacteria, but the bacteria itself actually becomes scavengers for the orthophosphates. And what that is, what a lot of people ask what an orthophosphate is. Part of the phosphate, a free phosphate, that's the byproduct of that, and then the orthophosphate actually can then bind with, it's the binder that allows it to then be reuptaked and consumed into the coral.
So basically there's not much waste coming from this product.
Correct. So yeah, in fact, zero waste. People, when they use it, the micron size in this is 3,000 to 3,000 microns, and so when you're feeding it, a lot of people are noticing there's, first of all, that you can't really, it's hard, you can never say overfeed, but it's so forgiving that a lot of people are like, and I was feeding this 7 days a week, 3 weeks in a row every day with zero algae, anything like that. And so we know that it's being absorbed and utilized in the entire system. So that's one of the other big factors with this food.
That's actually one of the things that I usually have fears when I feed, because it's so hard to know when you're overfeeding such, because I feed very heavily on fish as well. So I'm constantly worried about nitrate level going up, phosphate level going up, but I think this is a good indicator, and I think that's a good thing that you mentioned, that this actually helps out. And it's actually very surprising, because I didn't know that you guys actually included bacteria into the food as well.
Absolutely.
I would just say it for the camera, but the nitrogen cycle goes ammonia, nitrite, nitrate, phosphate, and having a bacteria, it cuts down all these things and it helps the nitrogen cycle, and that's how it works. And I'm kind of surprised and happy to see that bacteria is in there to help this process out.
Absolutely. And that's the thing we've really focused on. We have a fantastic doctor, 3-time PhD that's on our board. That's his whole life is he studied biology and bacteria. And so when he came with us and we started to really study what we wanted to do, we've carefully selected those bacteria that were going to be the most beneficial for an aquarium and for fish and for coral. So this doesn't just feed coral, it targets fish, It targets invertebrates, filter feeders, live rock even, and you'll even see your copepod population explode with this because, again, it's feeding the entire nutrients, the entire system, the whole ecosystem of the tank.
That's awesome. You know, I actually, one of the things that I actually liked, when I came here a couple minutes before the shoot, I was looking at the bottle. You guys listed all the ingredients on there.
Yeah.
I actually like that a lot because, you know, transparency says a lot of things about a company.
Yep.
And I like the fact that you guys mentioned everything. And then when you just mentioned for all the different food, and I mean, all the different animals, it kind of made sense to me because, you know, like I saw the stuff like spirulina, astaxanthin, and a whole bunch of other ingredients that is beneficial for all the different type of, you know, animals and the coloration, the pigmentations, and etc.
Yep.
That's really, really neat. How do you usually feed? Do you broadcast feed this, or do you target feed? How does it work?
Good question. It really just depends on what you want to try to do. Obviously, everyone's system is different. We all know this. All of us that are in the hobby, it's everyone's system different. But you can broadcast feed with this. You can spot feed with it. We're seeing results on both ends of the spectrum, whatever they do. But if you want to do, like what we tell people is, you a quarter teaspoon treats 25 gallons of tank water. So if you've got a 100-gallon tank, you just do 4 quarter teaspoons. Pre-mix that with your tank water. Let that sit for a couple minutes, 2 to 3 minutes. That activates the bacteria in the system, in the water, and then you go ahead and you can broadcast feed, and then you can actually for a really heavy feeding, you can turn off your return pump and all that, and leave your blowers on, and then just broadcast or spot feed or broadcast feed, let it sit there, and that'll get everything nice, plumb, and fat. They'll really have time to absorb it.
Gotcha.
Or you can spot feed, and you don't have to turn your pumps off. You don't have to turn anything off. Leave all your equipment on, let it run through, and it's still going to see good results. But if you want a really heavy feeding, we recommend that you do that.
If I were to, let's say, spot feed, because, you know, like I like to spot feed a lot of my LPS corals.
Right.
Can I make it into like a paste like?
Yes, you can. You can. You just use less tank water, and you can really do that. And so,
okay,
yeah,
but it's not going to really affect with the.
Nope.
Like
you're going to see
water parameters and etc.
Right, exactly. It won't. It won't. So again, everything will feed from it. You're going to see your snells, your crowd. Everything's going to go nuts for it. You'll see it. Okay. And so yeah, you don't have to worry about the leftover waste nutrients, right? And so you'll even notice your skimmer doesn't overreact like other foods. And there's fantastic foods on the market. It's just we just wanted to have a completely different approach with it.
I see that. I definitely see that, and I really like the approach that you did, and it's very refreshing to see something that's innovating. You know, it's hard to be innovating when it comes to food,
right?
Because, you know, like there's only so much you could do. Yeah. But you know, like I really like the approach that you guys have taken, and then I could really see the benefits from you know, all the animals that's consuming all of this. Right. And I can't wait to try it in my tank.
That's awesome. I mean, the key again that if we could control the water parameters, and if it's a healthy water system, right? And that's the other thing people will notice. Man, I don't have any algae problems, and my water is so crystal clear. And if we can focus on that, and then help, obviously we're all fighting in the parameters. Right. But with the nitrifying bacteria and controlling the nitrates and helping with the phosphates and all that, you've come a lot further ahead with what you're trying to do, what we try to accomplish. So
I can't wait to see what's coming from you guys in the future, and I'll definitely keep an eye out, and then I'll definitely try this one out and see how it goes, and I'll share my results with you.
Awesome. Well, that's what we're excited for. Awesome, Richard. Thank you so much.
Jeremy, thank you for having me.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Have a great show.
Appreciate it.